Welcome to the Blueprint Podcast. Come explore the roadmap of our shifting consciousness where self-actualization, exposing your talents and gifts is the norm. Now here's your host, Angela Blaha.
I'm Angela Blaha, your host, and this is Renee Keene with me again today. Thanks, Renee, for being here. How are you today?
I'm good. Thanks for the invitation. I have fun when we get to chat.
I do too. All right. So today I really want to talk about the divinity of consistency and commitment and how these roles, these energies literally play into self-actualization. So when we show up fully for ourselves, these energies are a must, I want to say, to self-actualization. We talked last time about, receiving. Well, in order to receive, you have to be committed and consistent with yourself. Would you agree?
I would. And I love that this is the part of the topic today, because I have been looking at this consistency piece throughout the last few weeks in all areas of my existence right now. I mean, it's as simple as starting something and then thinking, oh, I'm going to do this, and being consistent. And why do I do it and then stop? Do it and then stop. Do it and then stop. And so that really plays into this completely.
Yeah, I think it's becoming more and more in the awareness of how we haven't really been consistent, how we really have not been committed. If you look at people that you aspire to, maybe, I don't know, someone that you look up to, like, what are their components of, them being super successful or having extreme wealth or having, super amazing relationships or, whatever it is that they want, they can manifest very easily. Well, I believe that it's these two components, but there's also a divinity, there's a divine energy to these. When we clean up all of our stuff, right, and we open ourselves up to receiving, if we're not consistent, what I have found, particularly in my own healing journey here, is that if I'm not consistent and I'm not committed to my purpose, my mission, myself, like, it all falls away. And it is like, I'm really good for a little while and then, I move on to something else. But I think that there's having a growth, like, personality or growth mindset, or having that whole, I'm always in for growth, doesn't mean that there's no consistency or commitment. It means that the ideas and the concepts change frequently, but the commitment to the big overall arching picture of it all needs consistency and commitment. I think that's where we get a little confused. At least that's what my past has been, is like, I got confused where, like, I'd get an idea and then I just would go for it. And then, and then it would be over with. And then there'd be like a void that comes in, and it's not, and in that void, I would find myself not super consistent and not committed to the overall big picture. I would just sort of flounder around in there for a little while and then get another idea and then go for that. So it's like the roller coaster, you're on and you're off, you're on and you're off. Yeah.
So this is just popping in, and it's with the word commitment. And I'm not sure if this is some kind of a redefinition of what that is, because it feels like when I make a commitment to something, I am committed. And as we said before, would stay consistent in that commitment for a bit. Things are shifting so frequently, and you just addressed that. So is it the fact that we get to look at what we're committed to over and over and over again?
Well, I think that's probably true with the idea and the concept of whatever, like, we both have businesses. And so there's constant ideas coming in or new programs coming in. I think there's that committed, but are we ever dedicated to the commitment of our own growth? I think that that's the big picture, the umbrella of things, So like really having a strong ritual for the mindset. I think that there takes real dedication, real commitment for that, like a ritual for your thoughts, a ritual for understanding and being in control of emotions, a ritual for the physical body, a ritual for the spirit and the soul, like having all of those kinds of things, like really cleaning up the energy. My energy is like, I've been on this real path of healing my own self through the Akashic field, through the past lives, through everything, through this life, through the future lives, really cleaning up the energy and really being dedicated and committed to myself. I think that that's the part, for me in particular, that was on and off, on and off, on and off.
And I find that really interesting because you use the word ritual.
Mm-hmm.
I've been hearing the word ceremony,
Mm-hmm.
which pretty similar to what it is. So I had been hearing like, it's as simple as getting, how do I get up in the morning? Mm-hmm. Is there a ritual to how I start my day, or I just move? And you can take that into all aspects of my spiritual growth, my mental growth, all areas of my life. Do I just willy-nilly move through that?
Mm-hmm.
Or am I actually creating a commitment of consistency in the way I'm moving forward in actualizing my own self?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I don't think we can have self-actualization without these two energies, or these two forces, commitment and, and consistency, being consistent. I don't feel like self-actualization is even possible.
No.
Not in a world of duality. I don't think it's possible without these two areas.
I see that too.
Yeah.
And I think just the word commitment for me, because I spent a huge part of my life over committing to things outside of me.
Yeah.
So now that I'm actually working on me, and I look at the commitment to myself,
mm-hmm.
there's a little bit of a resistance because of the commitment piece that I've really dropped. I am committed to no one but myself. So it's in here that I need to resolve what that looks like for myself.
Yeah. Exactly.
A commitment to me is completely different than committing to this, and this.
Yeah.
This is to myself.
Yes.
To my divine being.
Yes. Well, the dedication to your own growth, like your own, let's take a couple of these pieces and sort of like give some examples maybe.
Okay.
So like a mindset, like your thought, like my thoughts, like I have a very questioning mindset. It's constantly questioning this, that, everything, like literally everything. In that process, I would also question myself. Instead of saying, no, this is who I am, this is what I am, these are my gifts, my talents, my self-actualized abilities, right? I would question them because my mind would question. So what I had to do was I had to train myself not to question who I am anymore. Like literally, I had to question myself saying, you know what? I know all this stuff. I know who I am. I'm very grounded in that. Why do I even question it? Why do I even think about it? Because it's not really a question. It's just my innate ability. So in that, my commitment was to create this mindset that was like a freaking steel trap. And it would not allow any questioning, any doubt to come in. And it would not allow any unworthiness to come in. No, worth issues, none of that kind of thing. Like literally, I had to create a very strong ritual of daily mindset work that would actually create that steel trap, and so nothing else could come in.
Cool.
Well, the same has to be done for the emotions, right? Like, especially if your emotions control you, and understanding the emotions. I think that we don't have any idea what the emotions are. Or we don't even want to know what they are most of the time. We just want them to go away, just go away.
Yeah.
You know? And so, beginning to understand the emotions and how they work within you. What do they do for you? Do they motivate you, or do they make you hide? Do they, like asking those kinds of questions, and then actually being comfortable with having emotions. Now, I'm very comfortable having my own emotions. I'm not so very comfortable expressing them in a large group or anything, like that. Like, I really try to, it's not that I stay neutral. Maybe I do stay neutral, but but I don't feel like I don't feel like I need to express them to everyone else. The emotions are just for me. You know what I mean? Like,
I get that.
yeah, they're, I mean, who needs to see me cry for days on end? No one. Me. That's it.
I don't even really need to, but I get to it.
Exactly.
Oh,
Yeah. And then, being committed to the physical body. Like, we're both on this real trajectory of cleaning up any physical body memory. Let's put it that, because that's really what it is. It's
yeah.
physical body memory of being held in the cells or in the DNA or the RNA. And so, I'm very committed to that right now. It doesn't mean that I'm out exercising for 3 hours a day, but it does mean that I go to, we both are going to healers to really like flush that out, so that we have a very clean physical energy body. And then, being committed to the soul or the spirit. Like, are you constantly evolutionizing and bringing in more aspects of your higher self? I think that's, for me, that's really been the trajectory. And I now have very, very strong rituals around all of that.
And I see the purpose in that so clearly. And that is exactly what I've been looking at in my being consistent in looking at the self. Because I will tend sometimes to shift and worry about, and it's like, no. Come back here. This is where you have to look at it. Doesn't mean I don't love, care, and what's the word I want to say? Still wanted to share in the experience outside of myself, because I do want to share in those experiences with others. I cannot fully share in any of that if this in here isn't complete. And as you said, we continue to work with other people, looking for more. We're always looking for more. What other piece of my inner being can I see? Can I explore?
Right.
What do you remember? You're really good about remembering lots.
Some days. Well,
Someday.
I think that we have to look at, we talk considerably about the new earth, the new, becoming the new human, this 13th component that we're bringing in this shift in consciousness, healing up all of our stuff, or releasing from all of our stuff, or being committed and consistent to the self, has to take place, and because we can't take any of that stuff into the new world, right? Like,
Exactly.
we can't take the old with us. We're just going to be putting a new spin on it, which is what we've been doing for the last several hundred years, and it doesn't work.
A very, 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 very long time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So
okay, go ahead.
Go ahead. You go.
Well, I was going to move on, so go ahead.
Go ahead. Well, I was just going to say, going back to the ritual piece, you were talking about that. An example would be what I'm developing and looking at is I don't know what I was doing the other day. I might have been in meditation. I'm not really sure. But all of a sudden I saw myself, an aspect of myself, swimming in the water down the Mississippi. Just like a mermaid, just going. And I was like, whoa.
Mm-hmm.
I want to develop a ritual or a ceremony around that kind of an experience. When that aha moment comes in, and it was so true, and I knew it was exactly accurate. Instead of just going, oh, that's cool, and moving on, what's my commitment to that understanding that was real?
Mm-hmm.
That a piece of me was actually working with the Mississippi waters.
Right.
So it's like, that's what I'm looking at doing.
Mm-hmm.
And that is being consistent in seeing that, oh, this is something new. What is my ritual or ceremony around embracing that and bringing it into myself?
Yeah. And then, where the curiosity, I think, can come in is, okay, how does this play into the bigger picture of who I am?
Yeah.
The power of who I am. This is where your literal talents and gifts are exposed to yourself and to the world, is through these kinds of experiences. And then you can actually cultivate and nourish the power that resides within your natural abilities and gifts.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the whole big picture of self-actualization, is like, what's your power? Well, I have no idea. Okay, well, what's your meditations, your dreams, your what do people say about you that tells you what your power is? I mean, those are ideas and concepts that you can hook onto and say, okay, well, this is who I am, but then the doubt will come in, and the enoughness and the worthiness issues, right? That's where we come in and heal that stuff up. Heart healing is perfect for that.
Yes.
Yeah. And we all need teachers and healers and, all the things in our lives. If we think that we can go on this path and this road and do it ourselves, we're completely wrong. That's not who humans are.
Not at this point, anyway.
No. No. So, it's like a heart surgeon say he's going to do his own heart surgery.
True.
It's non-existent. You can't. I mean, and then we've not. Humans are beings who love help, right? Like, we love to have someone come in and activate us and push us off the damn cliff, because we're too afraid or too scared or whatever to do it ourselves. And so for somebody to come in and say, oh, here you go, I'll push you. I'll challenge you, no problem. Right? Then it seems easier.
It is easier. And what I really appreciate about what you just said is there are specific people who you will find throughout your life that are really good at taking you there. They're really good. And it doesn't mean that that's the only person you ever want to work with. It's like, hey, this is a really key person that I want to work with, because she knows exactly what to do to trip my trigger to get me going,
Yeah.
But that also means I get to explore over here too, because there's another piece of me that's inquisitive about why this is going on. Oh, and this other person might be able to really key in on that aspect of me.
Right.
So it's a journey that I totally enjoy.
Yeah.
Moving forward. Moving in a consistent manner. No.
Exactly. And when you're open like that, you're open to receiving all of the abundances, right? If you're open to someone helping you, and I think the women are the worst. Like, we're the worst for asking for help, because we've been programmed to believe that we're here, we do all the things. We have a job, we have kids, we have a house, we do all the things. We do all the things. And we're the worst ones for asking for help. And I think that needs to change. And the whole thing about the divinity of consistency and commitment to yourself, again, I think the women are going to have the hardest part of this, just because we're committed to everybody else, to everything else. We're consistent in those areas, We're not very consistent in our own healing, in our own growth, in our own expansion, in our own ability to receive, and in our own ability to ask for help or to seek out help even.
And you mentioned receiving, and you receive it. I can't tell you the number of times where someone's offered to assist me in some way, shape, or form. Is, oh no, I got this. I got this. Well, craziness. That's just craziness. If someone offers assistance, accept.
Exactly.
Receive.
Exactly.
I've gotten way better at that. But that's a part of being like you said, being a woman. Nope, I got it. I can do it. Receive that if someone wants to give you assistance in any way, shape, or form.
Yes.
Come on over.
Exactly. Come help me.
Yeah.
If you really need something to do, I got weeds in the garden to pull. Come on over.
I know that's true for me.
All right, so let's move into the consistency of this whole role in self-actualization. So conformity, like literally the compliance with your own standards and boundaries for personal growth. I think that this is being consistent in your own boundaries. Like, again, I feel like women have a hard time with boundaries and standards because it's not programmed into us for our own personal growth, right? Like, I know so many, like a good portion of my clients never really have had boundaries before working with me. They didn't really have their own personal standards. If you're living in the penthouse, what are your boundaries for the penthouse? They cannot be the same as the lobby. They can't. It's just the rules of the game. I mean, it's the way duality works. You cannot have the same kinds of boundaries, right? In the lobby, everyone's welcome. Come on in, explore, have fun, do whatever you need to do. In the penthouse, no, this is my own personal space. No one's really allowed up here unless I say okay.
Absolutely.
And that's the way that we should start looking at our own self. Like, this is the penthouse, and what am I allowing? What am I being committed to? What am I allowing in? And what am I allowing my energy to move into? Right? Like, we have a friend who just is sort of a willy-nilly, and she just lets herself do anything and everything, and lets her guides take over herself and do all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, you know what? You're giving up your power constantly. That's a consistency. You're giving up your power consistently.
Yeah.
No.
Nope. Not for me.
No, me neither. No. I don't even have guides. I go direct. Like, I'm right here with, I'm a very clear channel, and I channel souls, and I channel like the sources of things, but I don't use guides. I don't use angelic beings. I don't use any of those kinds of things because they have their own agendas. And nothing's going to take over my power or ever again. So what are some ways in which we don't actually have consistency and commitment in our lives? So one, I just said, you've given up your power to someone else or to something else, right? Like, it doesn't work. So we don't like to make decisions either. Humans do not like to make decisions. And when we don't make a decision, and we try something like in our life or in our business and it doesn't work, we just sort of give up, right? We're giving up our power always, constant. Like, there's constant giving up of your power. Or worse, we don't try at all, and we let doubt and worry and like all those worthiness and enoughness to come in and destroy our hopes and dreams, right? So we don't really even believe in ourselves at all. There's no the consistency is you're constantly giving up something.
Yeah, true.
I think there's another believing that everything should just flow. I think this is a concept in the spiritual worlds, especially, that we shouldn't have to work for anything, that everything should just flow and just come right in. I think that that's a bypassing component. It's a gaslighting component that has been created. And it's not really real in a world of duality because you have positives and negatives. There has to be some sort of friction in order for you to move forward. That's the way life has to work in a world of duality. In a world of positives and negatives. Well, here's the friction: commitment and consistency.
Yes. And you can use the word flow to move between those two things.
Yeah,
Or
exactly.
within those two things.
Right.
So it's not like saying it's flow isn't a piece of it. It's
Right.
just like to just sit back and say, oh, whatever, it's all going to work out. Or
I don't have to
whatever
do anything.
happens. That's some rose-colored glasses, I'd say.
Well, you're setting yourself up to fail.
Mm-hmm.
Rather than using words like flow, I say use harmony. Like, how can you find a harmony here that will actually allow you to literally move forward in your own expansion, in your own thoughts, your emotions, your spirit, your physical being? Like, how can you find a harmonizing frequency that will actually pull you forward even?
And even the term harmonize, when I hear that word, it's an action for me.
Mm-hmm.
Flow.
Well, it's also a decision.
Yeah. And it doesn't carry the same vibration at all.
No.
But the harmonizing, that's my relationship. That's my commitment to something new or something that's I've been committed to for a long time.
Right.
It's that harmonization that pulls you
Right.
into a bigger, better you.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's even bigger, better. You can't get bigger or better. You are what you are. It's seeing that.
Yeah.
Recognizing
For
yourself,
sure.
seeing it within yourself.
Yeah. So that's one way you give up on yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Another one way would be to give up your life force. Like, you're constantly giving to someone else, healing someone else, fixing someone else, right? And you're totally ignoring yourself. Like, you literally give your force away all the time in those kinds of parameters and those kinds of mindsets. Oh, I'm here to, help all of humanity. Well, okay, you're going to end up having no literal life force left in you because you're constantly giving it out, but you're never receiving.
Mm-hmm.
Never receiving.
That is huge.
Yes.
It's huge.
And I see so many people do that.
I see a lot of people do that. And I think there's this misnomer between being compassionate and loving for all and ignoring the self.
Yeah.
Just exactly what you said. It's that piece of like, you can be compassionate for all in harmonizing with yourself.
Yeah.
And committed to who you are. Because when you're your best, that's what you bring to this world, to this universe, to this all.
Mm-hmm.
When
Yeah.
you're focused.
Well, it's like being an empath. Like, that's been given a bad rap for I don't know how long. Being an empath literally means that you can empathically understand someone else's position. Right? It's not that you go into a room and your energy just completely scatters because you're going out to all these other people.
Right.
Which is what happens and what's been taught about empathy, right? Or being an empath. Really, what an empath means is that you're a very good steward of your own energy. And you don't allow it to scatter when you go into a room and there's, 300 people there and you have, pieces of you scattered all over the room. That is not being an empathic person. An empathic person means that you have very good control of your own energy field.
So true.
Yeah.
So true.
Another way in which we give up in which we don't have this divine connection with commitment and Consistency is that we pledge to someone else or to something else, or we do vows to someone else or something else, right? Again, completely giving up your energy, completely giving up your life force to something or someone else. You're being consistent and committed to something outside of yourself again.
Mhm.
That's not who we are becoming. Yeah.
And my curiosity is piqued here with, it's like one can align themselves with someone
Mhm.
and stay who they are. When you pledge to someone, thing, whatever, it's a completely different energy as far as I can see.
Yes.
And it's totally about giving up self.
Mhm.
From That's how I understand it. And it could be different for others, but that's the way I see it.
Yeah. for
I
sure.
can align with someone.
Yeah, that means that you're
Easily.
aligning with the power and the energy of it, but you're not giving your power away.
No, you're keeping it.
Yeah. You're just creating a force with something or someone else, that's
Which is awesome.
yeah. That's it's a whole different experience.
Mhm.
And it's a whole different energy when you're creating a force, a powerful force like that can change worlds. If you're pledging to someone or something, you're just giving your power, all your power to that one person or thing, and they hold all the decision. They hold all the power.
And
They
that's
can.
what's been going on in our world forever. I'm
That's
pledging
what,
to this country, or pledging to this
for sure. It's
religion, or pledging to pledging. That's what's been happening.
a form of manipulation and control.
Mhm.
Period. That's all that it is.
Mhm.
So let's explore some ways in which we do commit and have this divinity of consistency within ourselves, this role of self-actualization. So, as I said before, when you fully put yourself first, like being the steward of your own energy, having these great boundaries and standards for yourself, and you don't cross that line and you don't let people cross that line, right? Like you're just like, no, this is it. Like this is right for me. And everything outside of that is not right for you, right? And you stick by that. I think that we're really being called to know and understand our own boundaries.
One of the huge commitments I made to myself, it's over a year ago. And I won't say that I'm always consistent with it, but I'm more so than not, is I don't want to look at my phone before 8 in the morning. And I don't want to look at my phone after 8 o'clock at night.
Mhm.
That gives a full 12 hours for anybody that needs to communicate with me, or I need to communicate with.
Mhm.
That other time is mine.
Mhm.
It's mine. I don't have to answer questions. I don't have to be available. That is my thing. Now, sometimes I will pick up my phone or whatever, but I will ask myself, do you want this conversation?
Yeah.
Yes, no, and then I'll answer the phone.
Right.
But I really am quite committed to 8 to 8.
Awesome.
And
See,
so
that's-
it's like, it's a boundary,
Mhm.
and I'm pretty consistent with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the other thing. I mean, there's so many ways to be committed to self. It's
Mhm.
what I'm working on right now is meditating for an hour every morning when I wake up.
Mhm.
I'd say about halfway there. Some mornings it's just great, and some mornings I'm like, I'm supposed to meet somebody to walk at this time, and I didn't give I didn't allow enough time. Wow, that's that's not being committed to me.
Exactly. Exactly.
And I recognize that. So there's just so many ways that we can bring this into our life. That's committing to self.
Yes. Exactly. And your own growth.
Yep, whatever it looks like for you.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Is there any other ways in which you do this?
One of the commitments I made a while ago, and I'm very consistent with it, is I very rarely say yes right away when someone asks me to do something or participate in something or whatever. Always, I never knew the word no. It was just, yeah, sure. Now it's like, I'll take a pause and, yeah, that's for me, or no, it's not. So I've become committed to looking at it before I say yes, whatever it is. Go to the beach with somebody, or join a class with somebody, or jump off a cliff with a friend. I do pause though. It might not, sometimes it's days, sometimes it's just a matter of how clear I am in the moment, and it'd be like, yeah, that's good. So that's one way. In relationships, a lot of it's in relationship, the commitments I'm making. A lot of it's in different relationships that I have. I didn't even realize that till I looked at it just now.
That's awesome.
But committed to not expectation again, not expecting someone else to live within my realm of what I think or how it works for me. So that's the relationship piece. Being committed to allow others their own journey, I guess.
Their own experience. Yeah.
Your own experience. Yeah. This is mine, and yours doesn't have to look like mine.
Yeah. That power of the soul of unattachment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and that takes commitment to recognize, like, ooh, I'm expecting them to do what I want them to do. That's on me. They're fully grown. They can figure their own stuff out.
Right. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Again, I think that's a hard one, the unattachment component, because we've been so attached and we've been taught to be attached, throughout our lives.
We have.
Yeah. Well, it's throughout ancestral lives.
A lot.
It's the only way survival actually happened, was to be attached to someone else and the outcome of it.
Yeah.
But we're not in survival anymore. We're not in that. We're very safe here as a being. I think that we need to recognize how safe we are, and in the safety of who we are, we need to move through this portion of the path, I want to say, through this consistency and committed, to self-actualize. And I think that these are two components that I have found very important, and probably the two, besides receiving, the two areas that are the hardest for humans to acquire. Yeah.
There are some tricky, I don't want to say tricky. There are some commitments that I have worked on, and I won't say they've become totally successful at this point, or totally consistent. I'm not totally consistent there, but there's this piece, at least in my background, where I'm not going to tell you that because I don't want your feelings to be hurt. So I'm putting the expectation out that if I'm truthful, their feelings are going to be hurt. So that's still running in me to some degree. I am much better at saying, well, you might not like this piece of information. I'm just hearing that it's mine to share with you, so I will. And you can do with it whatever you want. So I'd say 100% better at if I hear it, I'm going to share it.
Yeah.
It took quite a while to get that far, though.
Yeah.
It's that like, so there again, it's a commitment to speaking what I hear.
Well, speaking truth.
It's my truth. Yeah.
Yeah. And for me, when I was going through that process, which has been years ago, I've always been pretty dang truthful. What I found was, I know that the energy can actually transform itself into whatever that person can hear and understand. Like it
Yes.
doesn't have to be a judgment on my part where I'm holding back, saying or speaking or being someone.
Mhm.
When I automatically, what I do is, okay, the energy can transform however that person needs it. So
Exactly.
then it takes all my judgment away, it takes all my ego away, it takes all, and I'm very committed to this whole shifting in our consciousness.
Mhm.
And sometimes, that shock and awe that we talked about last week,
Yeah.
sometimes that's the only way for it to happen.
Yeah.
And, who am I to judge that? Like, I can't judge that.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
I'm good at that with the outer world. It's when it becomes those close inner relationships like family. I'll just say like family.
Or
That's
ourselves.
or myself, being truthful to myself. Absolutely. Family. So it's like there, I think I've got it in the general
Mhm.
realm. Just rears every once in a while, like, oh, why didn't you just say that? Why'd
Yeah.
you put that in?
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. All right. So I think that these two components, consistency and commitment, play a vital role in our expansion into self-actualizing. And I think that we need to start taking these two areas a bit more consistent and committed to.
It's being
Ju-
aware of it, being
yeah,
just be aware of what you're committed to.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Thanks, Renee, for joining me again today.
Thank you.
And as always, you can find more information at Renee Keene or scenaria.com or angelablaha.com as well. So until next week, thanks everyone.
Thank you for being with us today. To find out more about Angela, visit her website at www.angelablaha.com.